Silent night, holy night. You see me now, the veteran of the 2023 OGL Wars. My mind is a window, there's nothing left to explore. The year is over, let's see who won. Oh, please don't let these OGL wars go on. What's up, nerds? It's 8:32 in the morning. It is the first day of December 2023. We made it. We made it to December. We have survived the OGL wars more or less intact. What a year. What a year. What a motherfucking year for the tabletop role-playing game community. It is time to take a look at the veterans of the OGL wars. Who has emerged as the victors? Now, of course, we got to set the Wayback Machine all the way back to a year ago, well, more or less, when the whole Wizards of the Coast OGL thing happened. And several game companies stepped up and said, the fuck with you, Wizards of the Coast. I'm making my own 5e game. I'm stealing your thunder. I'm going to kill 5e. Or fuck you, Wizards of the Coast. We're just abandoning 5e and we're all going to the OGL. And everybody's like, blah, blah, tunnels and trolls, blah, 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 castles and crusades, blah, blah, blah. Now, it's easy. It's pretty simple to say that until about 2 weeks ago, there was one definitive winner. And that was my friend Kelsey Dion from Arcane Library and the Shadowdark RPG. Kelsey Dion came out at the end of January and said, you know what? I've been working on this game for 5 years, more or less. Wouldn't be that hard for me to just scrub any connection to D&D out of it and just set it loose. So that's what she did. And then she put it on Kickstarter and she's like, here's my thing, whatever. And she made over $1 million. She was crowned the queen of D&D. She's been to tons of things, tons of love, tons of I love this for about 3 weeks. And then people turned on her, including people that a week before were saying how great she was. But the hypocrites were then like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Since then, she has been relatively quiet. She's just posting updates, showing up to conventions, talking to other people. But the status of Shadowdark 2024 has kind of been nebulous. A lot of third-party people have worked on it, including somebody who made a whole thing about how torches work in Shadowdark. And that's when you just know, okay, if you can't figure out how torches work by now, then yeah, I mean, it's just easy. You light the torch, it provides light for a certain amount of time. It doesn't need a whole separate rule book. Unfortunately, Kelsey found herself in the controversy mix. What a shock. I mean, she's had controversy associated with her product since day one because how dare a woman succeed in the tabletop role-playing game community? But the physical product for the Shadowdark still has not arrived on our shores. It has been lost at sea for almost a year in something that people are jokingly referring to as Shadow Barge. About 2 weeks ago, she announced the Shadow Barge had been spotted. It should be on the shores of the U.S., and people should be getting their physical copies any second now. In fact, you might have it now in your hands as I'm speaking, except about 24 hours after that, a little bird started, going, oh, wait, you bought a motherfucking house, but you don't have the physical product available to us. Where did our money go? I think you should, and people are giving her shit because she bought a house and she didn't use the money that she got from the Kickstarter to get the physical copies. Of course, those people obviously have forgotten how Kickstarter works. Kickstarter's like gambling. You have no guarantee you're going to get anything out of it, and you don't get anything back. So anybody who's poking that bear going, oh, well, she bought a house, but our thing isn't her. So, where's my product? You should have spent the money on the product and then whatever. Okay. So I want my money back. Well, you don't get your money back. You could wait. There's people still who are waiting for fulfillments on Kickstarters. They kickstarted 2, 3, 4 years ago. I'm still waiting for a map from a product I kickstarted like 8 years ago, and I still haven't gotten my map. So waiting a couple extra months, it's not that big. Leave my friend alone. Did she buy a house? Sure, she bought a house. Is that the Kickstarter money, or was that money from her other job? Was that money from her wife's job? We don't know. She bought a house. Big deal. Yeah. What about, Star Citizen? a decade ago. There's still people waiting for fulfillment. So just because the physical one, but yeah, I think, up until about 2 weeks ago, it was easy to say she was the definitive winner of the January OGL Wars, except because she actually made something. But then you could argue her product really isn't a 5e product. It is a retro clone that also uses 5e. So it is somewhere in between. It's a hybrid. All right. So then we'd have to move back to the definitive winner of the OGL Wars 2023, and that would be Tales of the Valiant, the second most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of the year. People are like really behind this, seeing this as the logical successor to 5e. If 5e fails, this is a 5e adjacent. It is based upon stuff that Cobalt has been doing for a year. Cobalt Press, who is the #1 creator of third-party 5e stuff forever and a day. So it has been listed as the second most anticipated tabletop role-playing game for the year. #1, of course, being Daggerheart. But Daggerheart slowly starting to move its way out of people's hearts because people are like, where is it? We talk about Daggerheart every Thursday. Support me, Critical Role. I give you more free press than anybody else. So if you want to see the latest news on Daggerheart, that video is already up. And we do it every Thursday where we do the Daggerheart beats. So the alpha test is ready. The play test is done. The physical copies can be pre-purchased. You should get them. Let's see if we have a date. Pre-orders. If you pre-ordered it now, estimated release date, none. Doesn't say. January, February. Best guess 5e 2023-4 is June. That's a little late. HDM Kurt, the guy who sends us free food. We love this guy. If you guys haven't subscribed to his YouTube yet, please do. Also, this guy dared to have me on his Monday show last week. I don't know if he's going to invite me back, but yeah, we talked about Sentai for about an hour. So give him a sub. He needs 1,000 subs too, because he's awesome. And he talked about Sentai with me. So that makes him double awesome. So yeah, I guess Tales from the Valiant could be ready by February, which means it would beat Wizards of the Coast, which I would say would be the thing to do. Would be the thing to do right now is to jump ahead of the June release of 2024 D&D, if that is what we think is when it's coming out. So you could redirect that river towards you. Said this last week, 60-40, right? 60% of me says you come out after D&D 2024. You see how badly it did, and then you come out with your product and go, hey, look at us. Not the same situation, but 4E came out. People are like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. This game came into my house and shot my dog. I motherfucking hate it. And then Paizo was like, hey, we made a game. You guys want to check it out? And people are like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. It is the game that's going to fill the gap if 5e fails. If the 5e fan base are totally delusioned with 5e and Daggerheart is not out yet, there wants to be something there to catch that fall. All right. The people who came out in at the start of the year and said, this is going to be the game. We're going to make our game to be there for you when the inevitable destruction of 2024 D&D happens. We want to be up and ready and rolling. So that's what this has all been about, is who's going to fill that gap. And right now, it's looking like Tales from the Valiant. Unless another one in the top, I don't remember where this rated, but I know it rated in the top 10. This might have been number 4. We have the Monty Cook Tactical Heroics Cinematic Fantasy Role-Playing Game. Link down below if you want to get in on the crowdfunding campaign that starts December 7th, we know very little about this game other than it combines the best or worst of 4E and the best or worst of 5E, and it's going to be a much more tactical tabletop role-playing game. So much more in tune with 4E, and we know time and initiative is a big component. We know movement and battlefield control are a big component. We know it's going to use a lot of the stuff that Matt Colville has already introduced in his previous products and his ongoing vlog. We know that we're looking at a possibility of another $1 million, if not more, Kickstarter from Matt Colville. So there's a lot of positive hype about this, except we know almost nothing about it. There's too many of these now. Sir, do you know how many retro clones of the OGL/D20/BX there are in the OSR? 3,000 and counting. This is nothing. So is this going to be the one everybody's excited about? Well, we don't know anything about it yet. So maybe by December 7th, next week, we'll know a little more. We can see where it's ranks, but it's definitely on the list for most anticipated. Then we have the one that got a lot of press at the beginning and since then has disappeared, and that is DC-20 from the Dungeon Coast. When that was first announced, people were going, this is going to be the 5e killer. And yeah, nothing's happened with that. There's an alpha test available if you want to check it out. We've also got the Brandon Sanderson Starlight thing that's on the list for the most anticipated tabletop role-playing game of the years as the 5e killer, except we don't know if it's going to be using 5e or a completely different system. And other than it being announced, I got nothing on it. So I don't count it. It's the end of the year. It's December 1st. We're looking at the final bits of the news. Who emerges as the legitimate contender to the 5e throne should 5e fail in 2024, and based upon the information what we have now. And then, of course, there's the one who's been here all along. And of course, you know what I'm talking about because I always bring these guys up at the end. It is the People's Champ, the Chad Gable of the 5e retro clone adjacents, the one that has been there all along, just chugging away, making product, not making waves, just here we are. We make good quality product. We continuously update everybody on a weekly basis about our product. We're constantly keeping you informed about our product. And that's, of course, Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, who's been out since Tasha's came out. So what's that, 2 years now? From EN Publishing, shout out to EN Publishing. They are where I get most of my links from, as you know. So is this the winner? Is Level Up Advanced 5e the winner? Because it came out before January. It came out like 2 years ago. It has been consistently making quality 5e adjacent product for the 5e fan base. And it didn't get involved at all in the January disaster. There's very little stuff out from them. They have their own SRD that also uses the ORC, so you can make stuff for them. They've got, Tales from the Valiant has their SRD up under the Project Black Flag, which so far is the best one I've seen because it lets you make stuff for OGL type stuff, and it also uses the 5e SRD, which means you could also use Project Black Flag to make 5e adjacent. There's a word I'm going to keep using a lot in 2023 and 2024, 5e adjacent. And again, this is all based upon the assumption that 5e doesn't do as well in 2024 as Wizards thinks, because we still don't know when it's coming out, Wizards. So who's the winner? I mean, recognition-wise, shout at her. Kelsey Wynn. She's the one everybody knows about. She's the one that's gotten the most positive and negative responses. But just consistently making 5e product, it's got to go to Level Up or Kobold Press, because Kobold Press has been making 5e product pretty much for the past 10 years. Consistently good 5e adjacent product that continuously wins awards and constantly gets voted as better than Wizards of the Coast 5e. So there you go. That's it. That's this Friday's news. Of course, we've got a ton of information from Wizards, but that's going to be a whole separate vlog because that's just too much stuff to look at. And it's Friday, which means it's time to poke fun at Wizards again, because that's what we do every Friday. Yeah. All right. So I guess there's nothing else to say then. We wish you a Merry OGM. We wish you a Merry OGM. We wish you a Merry OGGM and a happy